Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting, right? We got this blog post, and let me tell you, this guy does not hold back.
Oh, is this the why I ditched the big tech giants one?
That's the one. Why I ditched the big tech giants and built my own blog. I mean, just the title alone.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a statement for sure.
It's like a Declaration of Independence or something.
Definitely. And I mean, some of his other blog titles too, The Rise of Exploitation, The Dystopian System, The Dark Side of Big Tech.
This guy's got some serious opinions.
He's clearly fed up.
Yeah, like he's throwing down the gauntlet, saying, I'm done with this. So we're going to try to figure out, like, what exactly pushed him over the edge? And is this, the start of something bigger? Are we seeing more people feeling this way?
Right. Like, is this just one guy or is this a trend?
Exactly. So let's get into it. The blog post, he starts out by just laying out all his grievances, right? And it's all the stuff we hear about with big tech, but he really goes in.
Like what specifically?
Well, he talks about, data exploitation, obviously.
Of course, that's a big one.
Yeah, how these companies are collecting all our data and using it to make money, target us with ads.
And not just ads, right? Like he's talking about manipulating our behavior, influencing our decisions.
Yeah, using that data to kind of predict what we're going to do next.
Almost like they're trying to control us or something. It's kind of creepy when you think about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then he gets into the whole algorithm thing, like how those algorithms determine what we see online, creating these filter bubbles.
Right. So we're only seeing stuff that confirms our existing beliefs.
Yeah. And we're not getting exposed to different perspectives. So it just reinforces our own biases. And he even talks about how those algorithms can be manipulated,
To push certain agendas.
Exactly, which is basically a form of censorship, right? Like subtle, but still censorship.
Definitely. He's painting a pretty bleak picture of the online world.
He is. So then he gets to his solution, which is, to put it mildly, radical.
What, building his own platform?
Yeah, he just goes full DIY, ditches all the big platforms, sets up his own blog on a personal server.
Wow. That's a pretty extreme move.
It is. So that's kind of the big question here, is that a realistic solution for most people?
I mean, realistically, how many people have the technical skills to do that?
Right. It's not easy. You got to know what you're doing. Setting up a server, dealing with security, backups, all that stuff.
It's a lot of work. And he doesn't really get into the nitty gritty of all that in the post.
Yeah, he kind of glosses over the technical challenges. But he does bring up one interesting point.
What's that?
He talks about how even if you build your own platform, you can't really escape the influence of advertisers.
Oh, right. Because if you're relying on ad revenue,
you're still going to be under pressure to avoid certain topics.
So is true digital independence even possible?
It's a good question, right? Like, if you're still part of that system, are you truly independent?
He doesn't really have a clear answer for that.
No, but I think what he's trying to do is, like, get people thinking. Make us more aware of the trade-offs we're making when we use these platforms.
Encourage us to explore alternatives.
Exactly.
So where does that leave us? Like, is this something we should all be doing, ditching big tech?
It's tough, right? Because on one hand, it's convenient to use these big platforms.
Yeah, they're easy to use. Everyone's on them.
But then you've got all these downsides that he's talking about. The data collection, the algorithms, the lack of control.
It's like, what's more important, convenience or control?
Right. It's a trade-off. And I think it's a decision everyone has to make for themselves.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. But this guy's definitely made me think, like, maybe we should all be questioning our relationship with these platforms a little more.
Totally. I mean, he's basically laid out all the problems, right?
Yeah.
Now it's up to us to decide what we're going to do about it.
What's interesting is he doesn't just complain, right? He actually does something. He takes action.
Yeah. He puts his money where his mouth is, so to speak, builds his own platform, figures out how to make it work.
I wonder if that'll inspire other people to do the same.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this is the start of a trend. Imagine if everyone started ditching the big platforms and creating their own spaces.
The internet would look a lot different.
It would be a whole new landscape, more decentralized, more diverse.
It's kind of exciting to think about.
It is. So I guess the big question is, are we ready for that? Are we ready for a more independent, maybe even a little more chaotic online world?
Only time will tell. But I think it's a conversation worth having.
Definitely. All right, well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.
And thanks for joining me.